Hello, I'm Pete from Risky Business. How safe is your workplace? Nobody wants to be injured at work, so how have employers changed their perspectives to make our workplaces safer? And how has the way we look at safety changed in the last 100 years? You see, back then, in most industries, it was pretty much every man for himself, and the accepted causes of injuries were blamed on unsafe acts and unsafe conditions. Now, they didn't realize, of course, that statistically trying to correct unsafe acts and unsafe conditions does absolutely nothing to reduce the carnage. But in the 1970s, an American named Frank Bird Jr. developed a revolutionary new concept which shed light on the real underlying causes of accidents. And the unsafe acts and unsafe conditions theory went out the window. Bird developed an international safety rating system, the 5-star program, from which many modern safety management systems, like the CORE program, are derived. Bird's data painstakingly identified without question that every loss-producing incident, including injuries, resulted from a failure of a management system, and he identified 20 of those. He theorized that by addressing the errant management system, we would eliminate the potential for recurrence and have a method to measure the effectiveness of each system. His concepts revolutionized archaic safety thinking and highlighted the understanding that proper safety management must be integrated into the daily operations of every organization. Safety would no longer be treated as a satellite function, an expensive annoyance which restricted production, and which was far removed from the main order of business. I remember as a young worker when we were told to go do your job, and oh, by the way, don't forget to be safe. And that's what I mean, the two, production and safety, were never connected. Slogans like safety first or think safety are a nice idea, and we still see them all over the place, but this didn't work either. Injuries still flourished. Legislators sought to mandate convoluted regulations and impose big fines in an attempt to reduce industrial injuries. But this had little real effect on the actual numbers. But it was only with the general acceptance and the implementation of the systems approach that really made a difference. This mandates within the company the involvement and participation of every employee, from the most senior executive down to the lowest guy on the shop floor. Some organizations now go years without having a significant injury, and that is quite an accomplishment. We call it improving safety culture. Because your job and your safety on your job are connected, you simply cannot do one without the other. So steps can be made to control those risk factors. Now, legislators, erring on the side of caution, have employers feeling as though we need to make the workplace so safe and restrictive that nobody can actually perform and do any work. Nobody moves, nobody gets hurt. That's a 100% instant reduction in injuries. Or we could go the other way and completely disregard any safety and seek total production at the expense of mangled, replaceable workers, which might be the business model in less developed countries. But here at home, we have to find a balance between production and safety. So in short, we have to produce as much as we can with as few incidents as possible, and to be competitive with those third world countries, we have to do it cost effectively as well. Every business has an inherent risk associated with doing the job. In assessing and calculating the risk, we can then determine if a job can be done at all. Is it worth the risk? And at what cost? You know that as a skydiver, there's a risk that your parachute will not open, in which case you're going to die. But people still skydive. Why? Because they have assessed the risk and taken every conceivable step to minimize the danger to an acceptable level. They accept the risk. So why shouldn't we do exactly the same thing in our own workplace? This is called safety management, and it works very well. When safety and job tasks are managed as a single component, we get an enormous improvement in overall operations. Operating costs drop and profits go up. It's a move from safe operation towards proper operations. That's sound thinking. For example, which Canadian production sector garners the biggest profits annually? That's right, big oil, and they can't stay big by hurting folks and having losses. And it really doesn't matter which industry or organization uses it, because the basis of any safety management system is identical in every business sector. Managing safety in the production of oil requires the same principles as managing it producing ore, building houses, farming, selling insurance, or even flying jets. Remember, it all began with Frank Bird's 5-star program, which was widely accepted in the petroleum industry in the 1980s, with huge successes in reducing its losses. And this was a concept that was championed by management guru Peter Drucker, who said, "The first duty of business is to survive, and the guiding principle of business economics is not the maximization of profit, it's the avoidance of loss. Avoid the loss, and the profit takes care of itself." Now, doesn't that make sense? So I wonder how many Fortune 500 companies don't take the systems approach to safety management. Because it's from them that we can now understand the importance of a safety management system, SMS, which encourages total resource management whilst at the same time reducing injuries. We've come a long way. Safety and production, combined and well managed, it's just good business. Thanks for watching. I'm Pete with Risky Business.